There was no instant replay, so thank God the official was in the right spot at the right time, because otherwise you wouldn't have seen it. But that was the most blessed play I ever made, that's for sure. I couldn't do it again if I tried in a million years. I want to go ahead and tell y'all now, I want to take questions from y'all. Any kind of questions y'all have at the end, I'll do some questions. But I was going to just tell y'all a little bit about my story and growing up and how I grew up and why I appreciate this church right here being what it is, and I appreciate you guys coming and attending. I grew up in Snellville, Georgia, like the video said. I went to Shiloh High School. I knew when I was 6 years old that football was something that I absolutely loved. Actually, I knew when I was 4. When I was 4 years old, my brother's 2 years older than me. He was 6, and he was playing football, and my parents said they knew right away. Like, I was tackling everybody on the sidelines. Anything that was moving, I was hitting it. It got a little bit weird when I hit the cheerleaders and tackled them in the middle of the game, but it's a different topic. So they knew it was something I was going to do. And I told my parents when I was 7, I remember telling my parents I was going to play in the NFL. And that was going to be my goal. That was my dream. And growing up, I was never a person that was in church. We were a sports family. I mean, baseball, basketball, football. We played all the sports growing up, and went to baseball, went to basketball, went to football, one after another, stayed busy. Had a lot of fun, but church was never something that we attended. And amen. And when I was a senior in high school, I started getting recruited by the University of Georgia, and decided I was going to go to Georgia because of Coach Rick. And for my signing party, I got given a Bible. And when I say I knew nothing about the Bible, I didn't know a single thing. I didn't know Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Never been to church as a family. Never stepped in a church, period. And I had a teacher named Mark Watson, and he was a science teacher, and I called him a Jesus freak because he was one of those, like, I was very hyperactive, I still am, and got in trouble a good bit, and loved to push teachers' buttons and push it as far as I could. And this guy never got upset. I mean, literally, he annoyed the crud out of me. He never got upset. He had the Jesus fish, and he played the praise and worship music, and I was like, man, what's wrong with this cat? And when I got given my Bible for my signing party, we had to pick an outside reading. Y'all know outside reading. We have to pick a book in the summertime and read 200 pages or something. Well, I chose the Bible, and a big portion of it was so I could have ammunition to annoy Mr. Watson, because I knew he knew all about the Bible. So literally, I sat down with him, or I sat down with my English teacher, and I was like, I want to read the Bible. That's what I want to choose for my outside reading. And she was like, okay. And she was like, well, I can't really sit down with you and go over that to know that you read it. So I'll get somebody that can. And she got Mark Watson to do it. And so I sat down with him, and I started learning. I was like, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and learned about the Gospels. And I was like, weird. Okay. Never heard this before. Never knew anything about it. And I started to read. And when I say, most of y'all have had the feeling in the room, but the pages just started to come alive, and I started to learn about this guy named Jesus. And I was like, wait a minute, this guy came and walked the earth, and everybody was against him, and everybody wanted to prove him wrong, but his story kept going, and people keep reading and keep finding out about it. And started to read it from Matthew's perspective, Mark's perspective, Luke's perspective, John's perspective. I didn't say that in the correct order, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but started to read it from different people's perspective, and I started to learn. I was like, wow. This is crazy. And then I started to go to church at a local church near where I grew up. And, I had no clue. I had no clue about any of the questions. I had no clue about any of the answers. But I got saved at a church a couple weeks later after I had started doing my outside reading. And once I realized the whole totality of everything, once I realized what this Jesus guy was and what he did for me, and it changed my perspective, and it changed my life. And I went to the University of Georgia, and we had a team chaplain, Kevin Hines. I used to meet with him, and we used to memorize Scripture. And I think sometimes we get confused, or sometimes we're like, why do we have to memorize Scripture? You memorize Scripture because you're arming yourself. You're arming your heart for whatever's coming, and you're ready for it. So when you have those moments of fear, for God has not given me the spirit of fear, but the spirit of power, of love, and of a sound mind. So it triggers it. We read the Bible, like that. We get this big fat playbook, not Chuck's. We get this big fat playbook, for Georgia and for Cincinnati when I was with the Bengals, not the Browns. And big difference, Chuck. Big difference. It's okay. we get these big playbooks, right? And they tell you in every situation in life, in cover 2, you're doing this. In cover 3, you're doing this. And everything you're doing, you need to know what you're doing. That's what the Bible is. It's exactly what it is. Every situation, you have an answer. You have a bunch of people that have been through it, that have screwed it up, just like you're going to, that have got it right. I mean, that's exactly what that is. So I started to learn that when I was at the University of Georgia and started to memorize and started to spend time and have accountability with people. That's a big word. And when they did the prayer, we talked about accountability. You know, that's something that in my life that I've seen is enormous. From everything to meeting with somebody once a week and reading a book. From everything from having a text feed. I have a text feed with 6 other buddies. So there's 7 of us. If you do the math, there's 7 of us. There's 1 person for every day. Everybody has to bring something to the feed that day. It's your day to bring something to the feed. Give me a nugget, something you're reading, something that's inspiring you, something that's motivating you. It's a good idea. Y'all can steal that, see? Y'all can text each other. Y'all can Snapchat it. But it's something that we do for accountability. We have to find those areas in our life. We have to find people that are going to keep us accountable. Parents, I think you see kids, y'all don't realize this, and y'all aren't going to for a long time. But parents, realizing how important it is to surround your kids with the right people, the right parents, the right friends. What they see is what they deem acceptable. More is caught than taught, always. We've heard that saying 1,000,000 times. So who you allow your kids to spend time with? Is it somebody that speaks the right way? Kids, y'all know too. You know what's right and wrong. Y'all can be around somebody and go, man, that person's full of life. That person's got something different. Like you can feel people when they have something different. Those are the people you want to be around. My mom used to always tell me, and I used to do exactly what y'all did. Roll your eyes. You are what you hang with. Now you start to realize it's true. You take the 5 people that you're most around, you're probably going to be an average of those people. Have you ever been around somebody that complains a lot? You find yourself complaining a lot. You jump into it. You're around somebody that's happy all the time. It's amazing. You get happy. You'll find joy in everything. You're around somebody that doesn't make excuses, that finds solutions or chooses to see the positive side. It's amazing what that happens. It's amazing what happens when you find those people. So that was something that in my journey and into today, accountability is something that's been huge for me. Reading is something that's been huge. I'm not a huge reader. I pick a book with one of my friends and we're going to go through it and we're going to do a chapter a week. A chapter's good for me, all right? These aren't picture books anymore either. It's like, it's strange. Like I like pictures. They're really, really good. But once we talk once a week and we'll text throughout the week. What's your observations? What are you seeing? Seeing a different perspective from somebody else. But I'll tell you a little bit more about my journey before I will take some questions. So I told you, from the time I was 6 years old, I was going to play in the NFL. Well, September, and once we kept moving and I had success at Georgia, I was a first-round draft pick for the Cincinnati Bengals, not the Cleveland Browns. Yeah. Chuck just realized he got it wrong, by the way. It's okay. I was a first-round pick for the Cincinnati Bengals. My first year, I changed positions. I played defensive end in college. I moved to linebacker, so it was a struggle. It was really tough, very, very difficult. So my second year, I come in, and I got the playbook down pat. I know every situation, even the confusing ones, and I'm ready to roll, and I'm ready to be a Pro Bowler, and I'm ready to have the Hall of Fame career. I told my wife, I'm like, listen, we're not going to Hawaii until I go to a Pro Bowl. Like, this is everything that I've ever worked for. And it was the second game against the Cleveland Browns. It was a draw play. I drop back. They give the ball to the running back. I come up, and I hit him with everything I have. I mean, I smashed him. And he hit me harder. And it's the first time ever from the time I was 6 years old all the way till that point where I told myself to get up, and my body wouldn't do it. And I was sitting there, and I was paralyzed from the waist up. So y'all have those moments when you fall asleep on your arms and you wake up and it scares the crud out of you. Like, oh, my God, I can't move my arms. Hold on a second. Like, then you wait and you start wiggling it and you start moving it and you start to wake it up. Well, that's the feeling I had from my belly button up, my waist up. And I go in the locker room, And they strap you to the gurney, and they take you back there, and they go and they take the x-rays. And the doctor comes out, and he's like, you got a fractured C6. I was like, okay, cool. What does that mean? A couple weeks? I forgot. That means you broke your neck. Oh, can we stick to the fractured C6? Because that sounds a lot better, doc. Like that just broken neck, fractured C6. One is not like the other. And I'll never forget, I'll never forget, they take me, they wheel me in the back of the ambulance. And I'll never forget when they shut the ambulance, and it's me and my wife in there. And I sit there and I look around and I go, is this the last time I'll ever put on a uniform? And I mean, still to this day, I can still feel those emotions, and the tears were flowing. And again, this is something I've done since I was 6 years old. This was my dream. And I got to the hospital, and they told me all the news, and I got a halo brace where they drilled it into your skull. You know those halos, you've seen them on TV that come to your waist, and they drill them in here, and then they drill them. You can see my scars in the back, and then I have my scars in the front. And I told my wife I was always an angel. I just finally got the certification, the halo to go with it. But put me in a halo, and I was in a halo for about 4 months. And the Bible says, be still and know that I am God. And that's a powerful verse, especially when you're forced to do it. Because I was the person, I had an extra 30 minutes, I'm going to run a mile. I'm going to run a couple miles, I'm going to lift. And God said, slow down. And it was amazing the time I had to just slow down, to listen, and not be in such a hurry. It's easy to get in a hurry. We got our phones. We got information, whatever we want. We can talk to anybody anytime we want. And it's easy to speed life up, and God slowed it down for me. And it's the most amazing thing that ever happened to me. I found out a lot about who's in my life for the right reasons. I had no clue what was coming next. No clue. But one thing all of y'all know, especially ones that are older and the ones that are younger, I'll say the same thing to you. Somebody's always got it worse. They do. You want to whine, you want to complain, somebody buried their child today. You want to whine, complain, somebody got in a car crash today. Somebody lost their baby, somebody lost their mom, somebody lost their dad. There's always something to complain about. Always. It's not going to change anything. If we complain about it, if we make excuses, if we say, why me? We say, we want this circumstance to change, we want that circumstance to change. Well, a lot of times that change starts right here. We can change your circumstances, but we got to change you. It's not always, I need to change this, I need this to change, I need that to change. How are you going to change the way you deal with things? How are you going to change the way you perceive things? And so football for me now becomes something that's probably not on the table. And I know that. No clue what I'm going to do. No clue. Not a clue. And I can tell you this, I hated the media. Couldn't stand the media when I was a player. Asked stupid questions. I'm like, bro, shut up. Like, you don't have a clue what's going on with our team. They talk about stuff and they don't have a clue, and you're just like, oh my God, it's annoying. All right, so 2000. Bengals, Browns, yeah. Same difference. So I'm at my house. It's 2007. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no clue. Georgia was a 2-loss team, not a champion. And Kirk Herbstreit's on TV. And he's blowhard about, you need to win your conference championship. And I'm still in a neck brace and still, I'm still recovering and rehabbing. And I'm like yelling at the TV at this guy, like, shut up, clown. Like, whatever. Stop that. That's not true. I'm defending Georgia, obviously. So I text my agent and I call him. I was like, hey, dude, and the whole time I'm in my halo and my neck brace, I'm watching a lot of TV. I have so much time. You don't sleep ever because you can't sleep like this. I mean, it's not comfortable. And I'm watching Mike and Mike in the morning, and I'm watching them do their show. And I'm like, listen, I was like, I think I can do this. I was like, I think I can go on TV. I said, I'm loud, I'm opinionated, I'm obnoxious. I don't care what people think, and I know football. I was like, surely, from what I'm seeing, these are the characteristics of a good person on TV. And so I got a job at 790 The Zone in Atlanta. Literally, I went in and did an hour sit-in, and we did all kinds of stuff, and they took me through questions and stuff like that, and they offered me a job, and I ended up doing radio, local radio for a couple years, and then I got an opportunity, a huge opportunity to do ESPNU from 12 to 2 a.m. That was a sarcasm about the huge opportunity. My mom would text me and be like, I tried to stay awake, I couldn't watch. If your mama ain't watching, ain't nobody watching. I mean, that's a fact. Nobody's staying up, nobody's watching. We're recapping the day. You know, you go from an NFL salary to making, I made $12,000 a year my first year on TV, so I was rolling in the dough. I mean, some of y'all kids probably make that on a part-time job more than I made in a year. But for me, it was just like when I was a kid. It was, okay, I said for myself, I said, I'm a freshman in high school. Like, that's what I want down the road. What I want is, I want to go do ESPN College Game Day. I want to go do something great. But down the road has nothing to do with today, right? I got to do something today. I got to make sure I'm working right now in whatever situation God has put me in, whatever situation I'm in, I got to kill it. I got to crush it. So I'm doing as best I can. I'm not saying I was crushing it because I was messing up a lot. And I practiced in front of the mirror, like with the microphone and all that garbage. I mean, just stuff that was weird, very uncomfortable, out of my comfort zone, stretching me for sure. And I just put my head down. I was like, I'm going to work, and I'm going to work, and I'm going to work. And I met with my agent. I'll never forget. First year TV, first year at ESPN. What do you want to do? I want to do College Game Day. I got the same look that I got as a high schooler, as a 15-year-old when I said I wanted to play in the NFL. okay, sure. So does everybody else. He was like, it's the best show on college on TV. I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. Okay. So I didn't know what the future was going to come about, but I put my head down, I worked really hard, and now I'm on College Game Day. And I think we're all going to go through ups and downs, but I don't think we'll ever appreciate the ups if we don't have the downs. If we don't have those times where we look at ourselves and we go, man, this isn't much fun right now. What can I take away from it? And that's something that's hard for you kids, I think, to realize is, what am I going to learn from this so it doesn't happen again? Like, what am I going to learn for this so next time this does happen, I'm ready. I'm ready to attack it. I'm ready to kill it. And I think part of it, and this is just a side tangent in my head because this is something that's been weighing on me, when you're around, this is for everybody, when you're around people, and we're called to be Christians, and we're called to love people. That's Jesus' greatest commandment, right? Love one another. If I'm going to be somebody that's going to be true to that and truly love people, I don't let people talk bad about people. I can't stand when people are just having a bashing session. And us Christians have kind of figured out a lot of ways too, is, we need to pray for so-and-so. Yeah. Okay. We don't have it all figured out, none of us. None of us have it all figured out. I think we got to love people for who they are, love people where they're at, figure out how we can help them maybe get to that next level. How can we motivate them in a little way to get to the next level? How can we push them? How can we give them a nudge? Sometimes an uncomfortable nudge. I'm really good at that. I'm not good at the subtle ones, but like I'm really good at hitting you upside the face and being like, you probably need to work on this. It's not good for everybody. Not everybody likes that. And that's why we have people like my wife who will never do that and very nice and gentle and, have their ways of doing it. But if we're gonna be a people of the church, that's an important aspect. I think I can tell a lot about people who we're spending time with is how you talk about folks. And that's a total side note that was just running around in my head, but I was in a story somewhere. Where was I at? No, we were way past the halo, honey. Thanks for paying attention, though. The angel stuck with you. I know. It's okay. Anyways, that's a little bit about my story now with College Game Day. I'm a parent. I have two kids. My son's going to be 10 in a couple of days, and my daughter's 8. And I've been married to my wife. She was my high school sweetheart since I was like 7. So we've been together for like 15 years, and she's 12. So you do the math. We've been together a long time. And I would like to ask anybody to ask any questions, anyone, anything period about my story, about anything, whatever. Ryan Shazier, I have not. I tried to get him, or I actually reached out. Ryan Shazier is a Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker that had a neck injury this past year. I tried to reach out to Coach Lewis, and I need to do a better job, actually. That's a good reminder for me. But I saw a video, actually, today of him walking to the field, and he was kind of walking gingerly, trying to get his nervous system back. Well, I think I do need to make that call. But he's had some struggles with what he went through this past season. He said, talk about the call when you go on game day. I'll never forget. So it was my second year doing TV, and I get a text from, I don't even remember who I got a text from. It was like, hey, it was the producer of Game Day. We want you to be on College Game Day this week. And I was like, sweet. Like, because I'm doing ESPNU stuff, and again, nobody's watching. And, but it was a great training grounds. I mean, I can't tell you how many things I said about Lane Kiffin that I couldn't have said now. Like, I would have been fired tomorrow. And they're like, we want you to come on College Game Day. I was like, sweet. So I was like, guys, I'm going to do College Game Day. And I didn't know they meant like just for a segment, like 8 minutes. I was like, I'm going, right? This is awesome. And really, they just wanted me to do like a phone injury, but or a phoner. And that's what they call when you're on the phone. I had to go, let me clarify that. I had to go, I went to the Georgia-Florida game, and that's when I actually got the call about it. It was in Jacksonville. And the next day, I had to go show up and do a TV hit for College Game Day. And it was the first time that I'd ever done anything like that. And it was pretty cool. But then when they called me to do the show, it was kind of crazy. You know, they said, we're doing ESPN, we're expanding it to 4 hours several years ago, and you and Aaron Andrews are going to do the first hour. And I was like, sweet. It's pretty cool. No, we do ESPN. The Game Day is wherever the biggest game is in college football. So like week 1, we've been in Ohio a lot lately with your coach, yeah. 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 I was on SportsCenter this morning talking about Ryan Day. Urban, I honest to God, I think Urban will keep his job. I don't think he should. Okay. Well, you said thank you. I want to make sure that I wasn't in agreement with that. I don't think he should, but I think he will. You know, I'm just the type of person that, you know, one of Urban Meyer's philosophies everywhere he's been has been at Bowling Green or Utah or wherever he's been, period. When he was at Florida, when he's in Ohio State now, one of his biggest things were respect women. In every meeting room, like literally it says respect women. Yeah, and I don't think he did that. I don't think he did a great job of that. And I think if that's something that you do, of what you're going to stand for and what you're going to be about, I think he failed in that avenue. And you decide what you want, and everybody has different preference, but that's how I am. Yes, sir.
You're in college football. What's your opinion? What do you think about the teams that's kneeling?
For an anthem? The good thing is I don't have to worry about it. College football, we don't deal with it. So. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think nowadays it seems like everybody wants to make their own individual opinions, and if you have the right to protest and all that stuff, you have the right to protest, but it's just, I think everybody's going to have different opinions about that stuff. I don't personally watch it, and I don't want to be a part of it, and so I'll stand for the national anthem. That's what I'll do. That's a great question but I don't think it's just my job. I think it's everybody's job now. Like, we're all in the workplace, and there are so many cans and can-nots, and you can't talk about X, Y, and Z. Like, I can't go on TV and I can't share my faith. Like, that's not something that they're going to call me on camera to do. And so I think it's incumbent upon us in every walk of life. We show it. We live it. Like, we show what it looks like to treat people the right way. We love on people. Every opportunity we have, we maximize those opportunities. Because my mom, I told you my parents never went to church. So my senior year of college, my mama calls me. And again, this is college, so I've been saved for 4 years now, and I've been walking my walk. My mama calls me when I was in Bradenton, Florida. I'll never forget this. I was training for combines. And she goes, I don't understand, and I'm trying not to tear up. She goes, I don't understand. She goes, how you deal with all this stuff and all these people. And she says, and it doesn't bother you. She's like, I don't get how you have that much peace. And we literally were on the phone, and we walked through the Bible, and my mom got saved on the phone when I was in Bradenton, Florida. But, and again, it had nothing to do with what I said to my mama. It's the way that we interact with people. It's the way that we talk to people. They know exactly what you're about. They know it. And when you have an opportunity to share, take advantage of it. Don't be timid. It doesn't matter. It's just like anything else, like a sales job. What's the worst people can say? No. Okay. That's it. Like people worry about hurting people's feelings all the time. The worst they can say is no. So I think you find opportunities and you find people that you love. Like Dabo Swinney is an unbelievable human being. And I love that Dabo Swinney will take an opportunity at ACC Media Days a couple weeks ago and share his faith. And he was like, that's the easiest question I got all day. And I think we're going to have opportunity. First, we live it, and then when we have our opportunities, we maximize them.
I know Coach Rick was a huge Christian. Really, I mean, you could just tell the way he acted.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not so sure about Kirby Smart. I'm sure he is to an extent, but he's kind of, have you talked to Kirby a lot? Have you met Kirby, and does he kind of put that out to the team too, like Coach Rick did, or is he more like the guy over in Alabama?
I don't, Coach Rick, obviously, I was in meetings, and I was there. But, obviously, Kirby has a team chaplain, Thomas Settles, who does an unbelievable job. He's an awesome example for the kids that meets with all the kids. And I know they have a lot of really strong leadership in the room that are strong Christians that speak a lot of different places. Jake Fromm's one of them. I think that's a great example of that. I don't know. I'm not in team meetings with Kirby. I don't know how he handles himself with that stuff. So I can't speak to that. But I know Coach Rick had a profound impact on my life, and just showing you that it wasn't all about football. And I think we get caught up sometimes in it's all about football. Like, football's an amazing vehicle for life. Bro, I'm a youth league football coach. Like, I love it. And it is a vehicle for me to teach these kids that, guess what? Life sucks sometimes. And you're going to get punched right in the mouth. And you can cry if you want to, because trust me, all my kids, they cry. They're 8, 9, 10, and the first thing they do is cry. But let me ask you a question. Is crying helping this at all? Are you feeling any better right now because you're crying? And most of the time I'm talking to my son. Are you feeling any better because you're crying? Like, no. I was like, in fact, you're snotting all over the place, and you can't even breathe now. So now you're hurting yourself, essentially. But it's such a great vehicle to teach him how to adversity, how to do life. We pray together before every game. We prayed before we started the season, together. But I think there's a lot of things good going on at Georgia, and Thomas Settle's a big part. I don't know the answer about Kirby because I'm not around there. It's not my team. He goes to her daughter's church.
Well, they were definitely blessed last year. And hopefully they will be this year.
They were really blessed. And people talk about the season last year, and that's one thing to understand. You got building the future. You got Sony, you got Nick, you got Bellamy, you got Carter. All 4 guys come back for their senior year. It doesn't happen very often. A lot of guys are going to get paid. I mean, that's just, I'm going to give you millions of dollars. Are you going to stay in college and for nothing? Sure. I mean, it's not going to happen very often. They had 0 season-ending injuries last year. The one injury they had that was significant was Jacob Eason, and what happened? He gets hurt, so Jake Fromm gets to come play. So I think there was a lot of things that went right, but what Kirby's doing at Georgia is absolutely stupid. I mean, he's got a energy. He's got an energy and a motivation and a drive, and he knows how to talk to all kinds of people and relate to all kinds of people. What he's doing is going to last for a long time. So everybody that's been following Georgia and been like, man, I really want to do this, I want to do that, and why can't we do this, why can't we do that? It's coming. You're going to have a lot of fun over the next 20 years. It's going to be very enjoyable. Yeah, I mean, Russ Tanner was my roommate when I first started at Georgia, and I probably talked to him the most. He's doing youth league football now in my